All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of O365Eh. In this episode, we're going to be speaking with Anna Chu, who's a senior product marketing manager at Microsoft. And we're going to be talking about the Microsoft Ignite call for content from a community perspective. So maybe, Anna, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more what you do at Microsoft?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Habib. Thank you, everyone, for letting me take over your podcast today. My name is Anna Chu. Yes, I work in the Microsoft 365 business group, but I also do a lot of things outside of just Microsoft 365. So I am the community lead for Microsoft Ignite and also Microsoft Ignite the Tour. And what that means is I am responsible for making sure community is a really big part of both events. And that includes the call for content, which just opened a little over a week ago. And just this week on Tuesday, we launched the call for community champions and the call for community reporters. So I'm really excited to make sure all your Canadian listeners are aware of the opportunities that are available for them.
Awesome. So now that Microsoft Inspire
I just came back from Vegas. Yes.
Yeah. So Michael as well. So that just finished, and now we're looking, forward towards Microsoft Ignite, which is the next big Microsoft conference. Maybe why is Microsoft invested into a community call for content? So like, what do the attendees get out of this?
Yeah, I think it's kind of it's a two-way thing, meaning we as Microsoft, we love to balance out our content with the community content because it feels like a lot of the content that we provide is about the products that's coming directly from the product teams, directly from the engineers, and some people can perceive it as a bit theoretical, meaning, hey, like as an engineer, these teams had designed these products with these intentions, with these use cases in mind. But as the community, you provide us with the real world practices of how to apply the technology into real world scenarios. And you can tell us what the best practices are, applicability to specific industries or industry sectors, government, small business. And you can tell us like all the different things that you've done that, didn't quite land as well. So there's also mistakes that people can learn from your own experimentation or your own trials, if you will. So, yeah, and people do respect a lot of the knowledge that our experts provide from the community. We're really lucky as Microsoft to have a great community of MVPs. And that program has been going on for over 25 years now. We've got such a rich history of great experts that we respect and who give us great feedback on how the products work and how they should work. And so we see this as an opportunity to give you a platform to share your expertise alongside the same content that our product teams provide. So yeah, it's absolutely a huge benefit to not only Microsoft, but also to our attendees who want to see both the theory and the practice up on stage.
Awesome. So Anna, tell us maybe a little bit about what's going to be different about this Ignite 2019 versus past Ignites.
Yeah, so we've been running Microsoft Ignite for a few years now. I think we kicked it off in Chicago many years ago. And previously, it's been called TechEd, and it's been under a number of different iterations. But over the last few years, Microsoft Ignite has been labeled as the IT professional event for Microsoft. And we're really swinging the pendulum in another direction where we're inclusive of developer content as well. So one of the key things that we want to make clear as part of this call for content is we're looking for developer content alongside IT pro. So if you are focused on if you are on GitHub, if you are focused on anything under the Azure stack, if you are specific on, specific programming languages, we definitely want to see your submissions. So take a look. One of the things that we are very clear on is, hey, when it comes to our breakouts in theatres, we are looking towards our MVP, RD, and our MCT community to make those submissions. And that's not necessarily new in terms of including the MCT community, but we haven't included them in the last few years. And so we want to make sure that we're leveraging such a great community who are very experienced speakers and know a lot of these products inside out. So we want to make sure that we're leveraging that community as well. So those are two big changes as part of the call for content.
Cool. And Anna, I'm curious, given that you've been through these call for content several times, for anyone considering submitting a content proposal, what are some best practices or tips to increase the chances of them getting selected?
Totally. I would first say don't procrastinate. The call for content closes on August 4th. And that's coming up pretty soon. I mean, you're going to be publishing this episode on Tuesday, so it won't be too long before that deadline creeps up. But I would highly recommend just setting aside an hour in your calendar just to start thinking about your title and abstract. When the deadline comes really close, like it's looming 2 days away, then it's going to be very clear that your title and abstract was a little bit hurried. The spelling mistakes might be there, the grammatical errors, but that's not really what's important. It's really the care in thinking about a unique learning objective for your attendees. Really picture yourself in that theatre or in that breakout room and think about what those people would want to learn and what they would want to hear from you. What value can you provide to that particular audience? So, and show up as your in your best self through your title and abstract. Try and keep that title concise. Also keep it kind of catchy if you can. Make it a little bit more interesting and compelling. So, because the other thing too is like when it comes to the schedule, you are competing with anyone else who's sharing your time slot, right? So try and make yourself shine compared to other people also in that time slot. And another piece of advice I would give is in that abstract, make it very clear who this session is intended for. So make it clear if it's a particular type of developer or a particular technology. Make it clear who that is for, and make sure it's clear what they can expect to learn. Because someone who is very much a technical expert on this particular product, they may not want to attend your session because they kind of know everything that you're planning to share. But for someone who is has only just dabbled in that particular technology, they may really want to understand how you attempted to do X, Y, or Z. So so make it very clear that what those learning objectives are.
Yeah, those are some great tips. And I know from experience, I've seen some content submissions which are more just about the technology, not about how it applied to the real world. So I think, as you said, having content that, allows people to benefit from the lessons learned in real life is always a valuable.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and speaking of that, now that Inspire is done, and I hope to submit a few of my own sessions. What are some of the common mistakes people make when they're completing the form?
Yeah, well, within 1 week, we already had 200 submissions, which is kind of wild. And we did see some people attempt to select as many products as possible in their submission. And if you have ever organized a call for content for an event before, you'll know that what it's like sitting on the other side of that form. You need that form to help you sort out how to assess who's going to really float up to the top of that selection form. And unfortunately, selecting every single option there does not mean you have more chances of being selected. If anything, it makes it more difficult for the content organizer to figure out whether this is an applicable session that meets the needs of the content team. Because for us, our objective is to have a balanced content lineup that is balanced across the technology that we have on offer. It's balanced across the audiences. We want to have hopefully an equal footing across developer and IT pro content. We want to achieve diversity of speakers as well, so that not only great technical expertise is shared, but also underrepresented voices can be heard. So that's really important to us. So it makes life really difficult if you are trying to say, hey, there's definitely a lot of stuff on Azure IoT in my session because you clicked on that checkbox. But when I read through abstract, there's no mention of IoT. So, try and make it easier for us to select your session by being specific about what you're talking about, and don't select everything.
So perfect. I guess from like a selection team, like how big of a selection team do you guys have to sort of filter through this? Like I can imagine just the sheer undertaking that it takes to go through all of them and stuff like that. So maybe just share some of that.
Yeah, it's quite a tough review process. I mean, we're always adapting and learning from previous call for content management reviews, but it's quite a strong representation of people. We've got people across the Power Apps, the Microsoft 365, and the Azure camps, and there are people who are focused on the IT Pro audience and the developer community. We get a lot of people coming in. I can't give you a number because honestly, I couldn't tell you. There's just so many different people. We're attempting to make it a lot more transparent internally so people can see who's submitting and what they're submitting. And because we expect thousands of submissions, we don't want to hit the review team with thousands of submissions and it's just an overwhelming experience. So we can see who's submitted on a day-by-day basis, and that helps us understand, are we really starting to lack on AI, or there aren't as many security sessions as we would like. So that helps us, try and rally specific members of the community, not members, but community groups themselves to say, hey, we'd really love you to submit. Please put something in so that we can try and strike that same balance that I mentioned before. Yeah, so it takes a village, that's for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, so I mean, from my perspective, this is huge considering our team, we're hoping to submit a few sessions as well. So it's awesome information for us, and hopefully for all the other community members that are looking to submit some sessions at the same time. Really appreciate you hopping on the call with us today and discussing this information with us. So appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And thanks everybody for listening in, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next episode.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna.